Hello and hello everybody, my name is Lucy and welcome to Books and Brushes. It is Halloween. I absolutely love October. I love all the autumnal spooky vibe. Orange is one of my favourite colours, just so you know. And I love the vibe of this time of year. The weather's really starting to get cold here. So, I'm getting all the jumpers out. I bought a massive pumpkin at the end of September, which I made pumpkin pie and pumpkin pasties. Like, I've been on a little bit of a pumpkin kick. Anyway, today is not me and my love letter to October. Today I'm doing my list of favourite villains. Now, you can't have a good story without a good villain. I mean, you can. There are plenty of stories done beautifully well without really a villain. For instance, the Delirium trilogy. Like, the villain is the system. The villain is kind of the country as a whole, or the society. You know, there is a lot of stories where the evil isn't, a person. But there are some amazing books with some horrible, hateful, venge-seeking, gut-wrenching, chill-inspiring villains. And today I'm going through my list of my most villainous villains I can think of, so let's get to them. So let's start with an obvious one, a classic. Voldemort / Umbridge. Who's worse? I mean, I guess you have to say Voldemort. No, you can say Umbridge. Everyone knows that these characters are some of the most hateful, evil characters, and to be in a middle grade like that, it's quite something. But these characters are known for their evil. They are known for the horrible, horrible things they do, the lack of love and care and compassion. And in the case of both of these characters, they're spine-tinglingly bad. Whenever these characters enter the fray, it's scary, and they just make your skin crawl. Like, Voldemort is the epitome of evil, and Umbridge is the epitome of a more accepted evil, and both are just as bad. You gotta love the Harry Potter series for coming up with these two completely different villains that work so well. It's almost like Umbridge is helping Voldemort in order to Phoenix. I mean, come on. I couldn't mention a villains video without the king and queen themselves. Another pretty key obvious one that I came up with was President Snow. Nothing says evil more than when an evil person is in power. When an evil person is a political figurehead, a tyrant of a country, someone who has all the power and all the skills and all the intelligence and absolutely no compassion whatsoever. Again, every time Snow is in the mix, it makes you cruel. Like, you wouldn't want to be in the same room with him. You wouldn't want to be in the presence. The way Suzanne Collins describes the smell of roses and blood. A villain with so much texture and so much depth, because the scary part comes from him being in political power, I think. He's overseeing all of the evils that happen and spearheading it, and doesn't have an ounce of remorse for any of it. Talking of the Hunger Games, new book coming out. Yes, I never stopped tribute love right here, so I am happy to have a new Suzanne Collins book. I think it's really interesting she's decided to come out with it now, after the hype has kind of gone for that series back in, it was 2012 when the first movie came out, I think. So that's when the high buzz of that series was around. I think it's kind of good though, because it says that she's let this develop. She hasn't trend chased this novel. It's something that she wanted to write. So I've got high hopes. It's another Games, which we all love the Games. A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I think was the title. Not that I can remember off the top of my head, but either way, you know that I will be there when that book drops, and let me know in the comments if you are ready for that book. Now that we are out of the obvious woods, so what best place to start than the book I'm currently reading, which is Lies. It's part of the Gone series. Me, Brandon and Nichi are buddy reading it. You probably know if you've watched any of my recent videos at all. Yes, there are some evil characters in that book. Considering this book, all of the characters, and I mean all of the characters, are children, you wouldn't think there would be so many bad, psychotic, evil characters. And yet, Drake and Kane, the two villains of the series, they are truly horrifying. Drake is just so evil. He is psychotic and he is crazy and he is scary. He is a thriller monster, and he becomes a monster, not just mentally, but with the whip hand, the torturing of people. He's not a good guy. There are scenes where he's chasing like Astrid or Sam, and he is terrifying. He is so scary. Before and after the darkness gets their claws into him, he is freaking terrifying. And Cain, he's got all the psychotic, he's got all the evil, but he's more intelligent, and he is like the leader. He spearheads. Yeah, he comes up with the plans. So not only do you have two completely evil people, but you know, one's great at torturing you and the other's great at the planning of the torture of you. So it's a great combination. Actually, as I've been coming up with this list, I've realised a lot of the villains come in twos, which is really interesting. I'll talk more about that later. Drake and Cain are an evil duo to be reckoned with. I mean, there are loads of bad characters in this. Diana could easily be thrown into as the third in that mix, because she basically is Cain's right-hand woman. Don't even get me started on Zil Sperry. Oh my god. I'm reading Lies at the moment, and I really hate this boy. Like, I didn't think I had so much hate in my heart, but I hate this kid. He is a child. He's a child, and yet I hate him so much. Torturing kids and causing a complete separation and segregation of a society based on random luck of powers, and he's got no reasoning, and it's just the idea behind that, the idea of this discrimination, this prejudice, this segregation, this genocide in a child. He's basically mini Hitler. I mean, what's more scary than that? I really don't know. The Gone series is definitely got horror, thriller vibes running through it, so if you want some bad, evil people to hate on, I mean, go read that series. We're reading Lies now and Plague next, so come and catch up on that series with us, because wow, we are in for a ride. My next two might even be my favourite, I think, of this list. Kestrel, and to go with that, Valis from the Mindjack trilogy. Now, this is one of my favourite book series. If you've seen my favourite books of all time video, you will know this. However, I haven't talked about any of those recently, so maybe it's a surprise to some of you. Mindjack, great trilogy. No one's heard of it. Super underrated. No one on Booktube talks about it, but it's amazing. And there is a character called Kestrel who is just so evil. He inhabits all the traits of an evil character. He is intelligent, he is a scientist, he enjoys the torture and the pain and the suffering of others. Every scene he's in, again, you get that spine tingling, chilling, skin crawling feeling. Every time the main character thinks of him, she goes into some fit of rage or some depression. Like, he's a bad dude. He's kind of genocidal kind of guy. He's not good. He's really bad. And but he's such a good villain because you hate him so much. And the whole series, you just want to get him, and he slips out your fingers like a bar of soap. This stupid slippery bastard is very good at getting away. Thinking about him makes you angry, and that's how you know they're a good villain. The thing about Kestrel is he thinks he's doing the right thing. Like, it's so evil, but in his brain, it's the right thing. And she goes into his brain, and he truly believes it in his heart and soul that that's what he should do. In my opinion, that's one of the most terrifying things, is when a villain thinks they're doing the right thing. Like, that's even more scary, because you can't convert that. You can't change that about a person. That is the core of them, when they think they're doing right, and they have all this motivation to do the right thing, when you know what they're doing is horrendously evil, but they don't. Alice as well. Again, it's always that two sides of the coin. You always seem to have two good villains. One who's, you know, at one side of the villainy, and the other who inhabits the other side. Alice is the political spearhead. Again, he's more of a villain in disguise, which some could argue is even worse, because he is secretly evil and people don't realise it, which can be worse. And he's got a smile, he's very charming, and these two together create a whole world of pain. And I love those two villains. And I love that series, and those two villains are probably one of the big reasons why I love that series. So, Kestrel, like, even right now I can imagine his description. You know, she talks about the piercing blue eyes and this gaunt face. Like, I see him in my mind. And I haven't read that series in years at this point, so obviously memorable. And I've read the book loads of times. But ignoring that, now, you thought you were going to go a whole video without me mentioning the book Unwind? Ha! You were wrong! The villain of the series is more the whole society in general, the system, so it's very difficult to pinpoint, you know, one person who's responsible for all this evil. However, in this book series there are a couple of really, really bad characters. The villains I had to put on this list were Starkey and Nelson. Now, again, two sides of that coin. It always seems to be this way. Starkey's kind of like Kestrel in the fact that he believes he's doing the right thing. Through a lot of this book, he's got such an ego and he thinks he's this hero, he thinks he's this genius, and actually he's just causing the whole world of problems, and he's really, he's a dick. Kids die and he's like, well, collateral damage. Like, he doesn't care, he thinks he's doing the right thing. Everything he does, he can explain away, you know. His conscience, even if it really is its tiny withered head, he will manage to be like, nah, it's all for the greater good. The greater good, that's always a good thing that the villains say, a greater good, you know. Alright, I don't mean to give you Gellert Grindelwald vibes here, moving on. Starkey is just so wrong, and he's so powerful. He's intelligent, and he's cunning, and he's sly, and he manages to make things happen. All the wrong things, but he manages to make them happen. As for Nelson, well, he's just your garden variety nutcase. But you're smart, driven, very level-headed nutcase. If that was a thing. The thing with Nelson is he is a discredited bounty hunter, basically. He's this pirate, he doesn't care anymore, he doesn't care what people think of him, he's solo ranger, he's got no one to check on him or to, you know, steer him straight. Again, he thinks he's doing what is right. He thinks, you know, killing kids and trading them and all this stuff is a good thing to do, and he doesn't care what he has to do to get it done. And if they die, oh well, think they're doing the right thing. Always the most evil thing. Now those are probably my top villains. There are a bunch of others that spring to mind, honestly. Like, there are so many that I could come up with. Read Children of Blood and Bone recently, the king in that. King Sauron, I think it was. King. It's not Sauron, because that's Lord of the Rings. It's something like King Sauron, I think. He was evil and again, all those vibes. He could definitely go on this list. Whoever the evil underwater siren creature in To Kill a Kingdom, don't know that character's name, she could go on that list. Again, the evil woman and the demons in Shadow of a Fox, but they could definitely go on this list. There's this one really evil woman who's like summoning demons, and both her and the demon are, I'm not sure which is worse, honestly, I'm not sure which I'd rather have. Both of them could go on this list. Not that I can remember their names, but I remember the feelings they gave me, and I remember the horror of them in a scene. They are definitely worthy. I could sit here and search through the book for an hour, but I'm not going to. There's also a really bad character in a book I read recently called Outside. He is, he's bad. He's really bad. More of a, you know, at home bad. I don't want to spoil things. He's bad. Anyway, this list could go on and on and on of every villain that I've ever enjoyed, but I think those are my tops. Those are my top villains as of late. Obviously, the more books I read, the more villains would be added to this list, but those are my tippity tops. I would like to know what your favourite villain is. Please let me know down in the comments what's your favourite villain and the book where he's from, and I'd love to discuss villains with you and your favourite villain. What makes a villain? What makes them scary to you? I think villains are 10 times more scary when they're intelligent, when they think they're doing the right thing, when they're sneaky, and they're sly, when they give you spine-tingling feelings, when they're torturous, genocidal, murderous, evil, they have no empathy, and they just have piercing eyes, and they're ready to kill you. Those are all the traits of a good villain to me. Like I said, I find it really interesting that a lot of villains tend to have a counterpart villain. You need two different characters to encapsulate all the evil, but these two different sources of villainy seem to coincide well together. It's like having two pieces, having a team seems to be far worse than a single villain working alone, you know? I think that's really interesting. I didn't even think about that before I made this list. As soon as I had, I realised most of the stories or villains that I could come up with had an equally evil counterpart, which I found really interesting. That's just something that has arisen from that list without me even trying. But yeah, that's kind of cool to think about. It's an interesting topic, so if you want to discuss that, come chat with me down below. If you like this kind of video, this kind of list, please give it a like. I don't get many, but I appreciate every single one. And hello to all my new subscribers. I realise I've had a few recently, and I'm like, hello. I don't know where you've come from, but thank you for subscribing. And I will see you in my next video.